ISIS, Westboro Baptist Church, and the guys that stand in front of Belmont from time to time yelling a mix of insults and Bible verses all have something in common. They're extremists. Now hopefully you realize that ISIS doesn't represent the community of Islam and Westboro Baptist Church doesn't have real Christian values. However, there's one group that people have a hard time separating the extremists from the normal ones: feminists. I've considered myself a feminist for a long time, and a lot of times whenever I tell people that, they kind of get a weird look on their face, or I can tell they're a little bit freaked out by it, so I have to tell them what feminism is actually about. So today I hope to convince you that feminism is not an extremist movement, and there shouldn't be negative connotations involved with it. So first I'm going to talk about some of the perceptions that people hold about feminism. And a lot of these stereotypes come from the extremists being louder than the normal feminists and having a large media presence. Like there's a lot of videos that have gone viral about crazy feminists yelling at people about female oppression, but that's not how we all are. So the first stereotype I'm going to talk about is that feminists hate men. This is not how feminists should be. You don't have to be anti-man to be pro-woman. And as I'll get into later, that's not what the definition says, but extremists sometimes take it out of context. The next stereotype is the bra-burning feminist. So this stereotype originated at the 1968 protest of the Miss America pageant, where women would throw bras, girdles, nylons, and other lingerie products into the trash to protest the Miss America contest. However, the organizer of the protest said that there were never actually any bras burned. It was a media myth, and if it did happen, it was all symbolic. So bottom line, you don't need to get rid of your bras to call yourself a feminist, but if you want to, if it empowers you, go for it. The next stereotype is that feminists don't shave. Some people use this as a protest that society expects women to shave but not men. So that's awesome if you want to do that, but again, you don't have to. The next one is that people expect that feminists dress a certain way, either dress very conservative or completely the opposite and show off their body to embrace their sexuality. Either of these things are fine. Dress how you want. Different clothes empower different people. The point is dressing how you feel comfortable and not really caring about society's expectations. And the last stereotype that I'm going to talk about is the crazy, aggressive, will fight anyone on site feminist. Don't be this, yelling at people, strangers about oppression that don't agree with you. That's the worst way to get someone to agree with you. It's never effective, and it's rude. I'm all for speaking up about your beliefs as long as you're respectful about it. So now that I've talked about what feminism isn't, I'm going to go in a little bit more about what it is. So the definition of feminism is the belief in the social, political, and economic equality of the sexes. And so since it's all about equality, feminism can benefit both men and women by attempting to get rid of gender stereotypes and expectations and double standards. So a few of those would be that men can't show emotion, women are too emotional, the stay-at-home mom, shout out to stay-at-home dads, and losing your virginity for men is seen as a rite of passage, but for women it's seen as a loss of innocence. And a lot of times women are slut-shamed for being sexual, and men don't really have to deal with that. The next thing that feminism is about is equal representation. So I'm going to talk about equal representation in politics and in business. So here's a few statistics about women in politics in America. They hold 23.7% of Congress seats and 18% of governor positions. So in America, there's 9 female governors. And in Tennessee, they make up 15.9% of the state legislature. So clearly, there's a lot more men in politics than there are women, which means that the genders aren't being given an equal voice. And that sucks. And in business, in 1995, there were no female CEOs on the Fortune 500 list, which if you don't know what that is, it's a list put out every year of the most profitable corporations in America. So those are the ones that people usually will want to invest stock in. And in 2018, there were 24 female CEOs, so that's only 4%, because the rest of the 500 are all male. So clearly there's improvement, but that's only about 1 woman every year from 1995. So there needs to be a lot more improvement in there. So a general stereotype about feminists is that they're crazy. So I'm going to show you some people you'll recognize that have proclaimed themselves as feminists who are not crazy. And my favorite is Beyonce. Beyonce said, if you're a man who believes your daughter should have the same opportunities and rights as your son, then you're a feminist. And I love that quote because it's on men being feminists, because a lot of people think only women can be feminists, which isn't true. Here's a few more. Emma Watson, Daniel Radcliffe, Andy Samberg, Jennifer Lawrence, Barack Obama, Alicia Keys, Mila Kunis, Will Smith, Ariana Grande, and John Legend. All of these awesome people call themselves feminists. And you can too. So next I'm going to talk about a few ways that you can contribute to feminism. First off is changing your way of thinking. If you find yourself judging people based on gender stereotypes, then catch yourself and correct yourself. And that'll change your expectations for both men and women and hopefully lead you to treating men and women more equally and with respect if you don't already. The next thing is changing your language and not using derogatory language towards women like bitch, slut, whore, all of that stuff, because men don't really have to deal with that, especially when it's about the way you're dressed or the amount of sex that you have. And so that's a big double standard. The next thing is speak up if you see something happening that opposes your feminist ideals, or if you think it's sexist, or if someone doesn't understand feminism. I was really proud of myself the other day. I was with some ladies and one of them was like, feminists are so annoying. And the other one said, yeah, I agree. And I was outnumbered and I was really scared. And I was like, guys, like, I'm a feminist and here's what it's all about. And we ended up having a really great conversation about it. And it was awesome, felt good. The next one is empower. Do things that empower yourself, support other women doing things that empower them, and empower and support each other, because that is the best. Ladies empower other ladies. Yeah. So today, I hope that you all recognize now that feminism does not mean all of these things, because it is simply about equality, and it shouldn't have negative connotations attached to it. And there's little things that everyone can do every day to support feminism. So next time someone tells you that they're a feminist, hopefully you won't get scared off, and maybe you'll even say, so am I.